Nobody's here this morning to get their reactions, but joined on the sofa here, the breakfast sofa in the market, by Lord Digby Jones. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Former business minister, former head of the CBI. You wanted leave, but you didn't really think it was going to happen, did you?
Well, no, I was a reluctant leaver on the basis that, and I very much wanted to come out, but on the basis I never thought the EU would reform. I wanted to stay in a reformed EU, but I had no confidence that Brussels would stop its march inevitably towards 1970. And I think it was a surprise. I think the British public are surprised. What I'm thrilled about, actually, is that subliminally, almost unconsciously, the great British public have put their democratic freedom ahead of money. And the establishment elite has had a kicking. And whether the establishments are trade unions or big business or ministers or Brussels or the market, every one of them tried to frighten the living daylights out of Britain for about 8 weeks. And the British public sort of quietly went about the business and then went into a secret ballot box and said, do you know what? I like electing my leaders. I don't like actually being told what to do by unelected, unaccountable people, so I'm going to get out of that lot. And if it costs me a few bob for a couple of years, so be it. And I say well done to them. And by the way, I repeat, I'm not one of your sort of out there on the hinterland. I actually really do hope that the European Union, these unelected, unaccountable people, actually sit there and there's nothing. The trouble is, I think the Remain camp are going to take this very badly. I think they're going to be sore. I think they're going to threaten Armageddon. And when you think that yesterday evening, the stock market finished just 2.7% down on where it was last Monday, which actually, in a 12-month thing, is nothing. And I just worry that I think the Remain camp are going to go into an almighty soap. And that's not going to help these lovely people here. Or the man who sells those wonderful family cakes. I've had one already, but don't tell my wife what it is.
I've had 2 already. You're a businessman.
Yeah.
You know all about money. You know all about this part of the UK.
Well, I only live half an hour up there.
Well, we're in a market, and these traders need stability and they need continuity. There are people who are worried about the pound, about shares, about pensions. This is very uncertain times financially. It could be for a long time.
You're right. The media should do Britain a favour and actually be balanced about it more than they are right now. I don't blame the media for being where they are because at the end of the day, it's so unusual.
But financial markets, that's just facts and numbers, isn't it?
Yeah, but the financial market, as I said, the FTSE ended up just 2% down on last Monday. The pound actually came back up 6%. And I think it's one of those situations where we're all of us, you, me, everybody is in uncharted water. Business likes stability, as you rightly say, but I looked it down a camera lens about 2 weeks ago and I said, I can tell you now, this will be all right. It's going to be choppy water for a few weeks, but it will be all right.
Weeks?
I believe weeks. I really do believe weeks.
This morning it's going to take years
to
sort out trade deals.
Yeah, but you're being told this by the establishment elite who just had the surprise of a lifetime. And they're in a sulk, and they're going to have to swallow a lot of humble pie to get through this. And all I would say to them is, everybody in this country has to respect it. They would expect, if they'd won, they would have expected the leavers to have said, right, it's democracy, buckle down and make this happen for this wonderful country of ours. Now what the establishment have got to do is say, right, you're lost. Now buckle down and make this work with all your supreme talent and your contacts and your ability and your money, and make this work for this wonderful country that has actually decided to tell Europe, all 520 million of them, there's something a bit more important than money. It's called democracy. And if this is a very good lesson to Brussels, then I think it's a day's work well done.
And in one sentence, what do you say to somebody watching this at home this morning who voted one way or the other, but who says, oh my goodness, I didn't think this was going to happen, and who's worried? But how do you reassure them?
I actually reckon there's an awful lot of people who voted to leave actually woke up this morning and went, ooh. And it's because it is so amazingly, enormously seismic shift in global everything. So I would say to them, you have a golden opportunity. Britain is the most globalised country on earth. We are an open society. We're not racist, we're not skeptic. We actually are an incredibly open society, tolerant place to be. And you have the opportunity of a lifetime now to make Europe, the European Union and Europe, our friends, our partners, but in an environment where the world... I mean, these people who said, oh, you're going into isolation. We actually were going into the only race that matters in Asia's century, and that's a global race. And we've got an opportunity, and all I would say to the Remain camp this morning, the MPs, the businesses, the media, the trade unions, just understand that this is something where you can take our wonderful country and our grandchildren will say thank you. That's the challenge. Now, suck up democracy when it doesn't work for you and go and make it happen.
Lord Digby Jones, thank you very much indeed for joining us. You mentioned humble pie a minute ago.
There's another one over there.
There are pies, we have pasties, we have cakes, we have more Banbury cakes, of course. Let's get back to Naga in London. Hi, Naga.
Do you know, boasting is a very unattractive quality. We've got the Palace of Westminster, John, and the sun trying to beat through the clouds.